Greetings and hello, this here is the Ancient Spirit Trolaka coming to you in video number 70, Cause and Effect. Okay, this is how, in this understanding of cause and effects, how the living multidimensional universe is understood. And by understanding the flows of the probabilities, ones like species like the zetas and many others of that dimension or of higher dimensional beings' understandings of the when something may or may not happen, for it is the other understandings of things or beings within that locale of event which is or which is not, either or, to occur. This also involves many times figuring in what did or did not happen on the local sun or asteroids, meteor, comet interactions at that time, along with earthquakes, solar storms, and influence of a local planet from, let's say, a visiting outside source planetary system coming close and causing magnetic wave storms like never before, and or including and or not the effect of the area. Species of beings also intervention or causing of much great calamity or other different types of magnetic waves so bad that no outside help from off-world Earth species could come in and help because they're in risk of dying in a magnetic storm on their ships. So these are other variables that the Zetas and others are working with to figure out how to explain to Earth humans of things estimated to become happening to Earth or parts of Earth are going to be affected. An Earth situation also has having to be figured in is the probability of a few insane country leaders, hint, 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 who babble like lunatics about wanting to wage war and or doing all these assassinations while being affected either by inner Earth or outer Earth, off-world species. This also has to be figured into the equations. Also, for Earth is understanding that the Earth is like many planets are, or 7 to 9 dimensional in its functions. So the earthquake fault lines. Let's say for North America, you also include the Clanton plate movements, which operate also in other dimensionals that we cannot actually see, but they are working because this is part of how a planet lives. Okay, with also the plate of fire in a Pacific Ocean coming into focus as it heats or changes heats on the different areas, fault lines or sub-fault lines and plates that are near, which cause them to those plates and that to get irritated and move. This is what I have been describing, in which the Zetas and others are working with in making the equations on fifth dimensional and higher or deeper, the most probable or then chosen by those computers and shown above a table or in a room in a holographic three-dimensional or 4 or 5 dimensional manner, so all around it can be seen that event horizon that they're talking about, and also from certain points from within which are happening in motion at the same time, that they'll be able to see it all functioning all simultaneously in this holographic presentation. The results of things to happen according to different equations of probabilities of the bobbling back and forth for days or weeks, months, years, even centuries or longer, depending on how things line up in the happenings in the future set that are coming closer and closer into the now time reality. Though, let's say, real psychics only can set parts of pictures or time frame or events and try to reason out the when and the where something may or may not occur. Yet it needs to be understood when something does not happen from the telling of the real psychics compared to the frauds, which that's a whole different story. The people who go to those psychics need to be as thankful for when something may not be happening for the best of what they want versus something great happening for them, because both, either or, is happening in a different variation of Earth. So it may seem or that it's not fair, but they need to understand that that the now time Earth humans in this particular setting may have gotten the better the effects of a calamity or something going wrong than other variations of Earths did. And this goes the other way around. When they foretell of you having great fortune, all this other, a different aspect of you on a different variation of Earth will be running into the poorhouse. So you got to be grateful for where you are in this now time situation. This is also taken in the concept here for space-going large ships and more developed species who use computers to figure out the variables for traveling through different parts of systems to keep themselves and ships and cargo safe unto its destination or travels or research. Just like wormholes in space to travel through very quickly. Wow, that was fast. Just because uh, there are places surrounding the wormholes and parts of space that may not always be that stable, which would affect that wormhole. And then they may force those travelers to stop in their ships for a while and park it until that wormhole becomes stable, or they find another one that is stable to use instead in a few days or weeks or so forth to make sure they have safe travel. But let's go into a much farther understanding and much more depth using a Las Vegas reasoning and keeping it much more simple, cause and effects. In a real life situation, would a regular Earth human with no guns and no weapons be able to win in a hand-to-hand fight against the ancient time and some are still living on Mars, those warriors? The true answer here is no. The Earth humans would get an ass kicking like never before in their life, and most likely killed and fed to some very angry wild animals which still live in parts of the planet Mars and in some of their very deep caverns. Would a normal military person have a choice without any weapons? The answer is no. Though some of the super trained military hand-to-hand combat would last quite a while longer, though the inevitable would be a 65 to 35 bet against them if no weapons at all could be used. But then again, in real life telling of the Mars magnetics and sun exposure and gravity, as well as how Mars is affected to magnetic storms and versus its gravity and its no, its gravity, how the levels it has, how Earth is also none of this information has ever been released truthfully to the public understanding of what is really Mars like and the real story, because it's got to keep it all secret. So let's go on. Then again, the ancient Mars warriors stood on an average between 9 and 10 feet tall. This is very much because of the conditions they lived on. Okay, and they were very intelligent. These tall guys had college graduate IQs. Okay, let's go on. The normal human against a 9 and 12 foot and even taller of some of the families from the Nibiru system beings with the same situation also with no one having weapons. Those of the Nibiru system would give the Earth humans even a worse ass kicking. It may damage the next 5 generations of those who survive getting their ass kicked with no weapons. Yet understand there is a couple of old school families living within the Nibiru systems. These beings of a species who would not stop, let's say if they were in a fight and just kicking your ass in hand to hand, but then they would skin you from head to foot even before you realized why your last moments of life was so damn cold because you're missing your skin. Though this is pretty gruely, but this is the truth. Though this is not the norm of the cultures of the Nibiru system, please understand this. But I assure you, this is what the hidden government of the world of Earth do not want the public to know. This is yet another reason the hidden government spokespersons are trying to take everybody's guns and ammunitions away from peace-loving people. Because of the hidden agenda, and the governments understand what would happen if Mars warriors or Nibiru warriors or lizard warriors or certain reptilian warriors would change their minds against the contracts they have with certain hidden Earth's agenda governments and feel they should mark their own new turf on here on Earth. An unarmed public would not have a chance to protect while their own elected officials bargain for their own lives and screw whatever else happens to the public of the country. This is a mature understanding of those with a stable mind and stable inner spirit to have a very well armed and supplied cabinets of gun and ammunition with enough kick out of the ammo to drop a 9-foot being or 10, 12, or 17. But keep understanding, that the understanding of large caliber shells. You need large caliber shells to drop beings that are that tall. Okay, and it needs to be an understanding. Let's say if things went totally sideways with our corrupt government and these tall beings came down marching, claiming their own turf, that the people of the nation, the people in this country they would need the means for protecting against a violent, much larger species with far superior technology weapons. Though the high caliber shells would still bring them down, the large sniper bullets, but you would need to be firing them. Listen closely. You would need to be firing them in fast triple shots in a very, very close grouping, okay, in a very close grouping, a triple shot, in order to try to get a through and through shot going all the way through one of these very, very large beings. The term of one shot, one kill does not work for 9 to 7 foot species, okay. Normally it will not work with less than a 50 caliber bullet, unless of course you're going with a triple shot in a very close grouping, because you want to get that hole going all the way through, but you're going to need a couple shells because the bodies are much tougher. Okay, so protect yourselves. Be safe, be of good mind, be of good spirit, but understand in variables things do happen. This is the Ancient Spirit Tralaka. Good night.